I was really surprised by the breadth and depth of Bitcoin kind of community building and software development that I saw. I am probably more knowledgeable about that space than most people. And I was just totally blown away. I mean, I did a workshop for NGOs and Bitcoin. There were about 35, 40 people in the room, and we were going around just introducing ourselves. And I mean, more than half of the attendees were Bitcoin or Lightning developers from Lagos,
Wow.
city in Nigeria. So, I mean, I don't know how many Bitcoin Lightning developers there are in West Africa, but it is certainly growing, and that's really neat because they're all going to build tools. They're all going to contribute to Bitcoin Core. They're all going to make wallets. They're all going to really start to, bring their perspective into the mix, which is very, very important. I think what Jack Dorsey said a couple years ago in an interview was about why he started BTrust, the charity that he and Jay-Z created to support Bitcoin development in the developing world, was that if Bitcoin's going to be money for the whole world, it has to be made by the whole world. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think you're starting to see that. Kala, QALA, is one of the big movers in that space. They're a fellowship program that Ahrefs was very happy to support. They're now on their, I think, second cohort. I think 100% of their first cohort got jobs in the Bitcoin industry, which is amazing. So they train programmers to program Bitcoin, and then they help them get a job. So that's what the Kala Fellowship is. So if you're a programmer in Africa and you want to learn about Bitcoin and get a job in the Bitcoin space, you apply to that fellowship. It seems incredible. So there's a whole bunch of other fellowships that are like it, and there are a lot of mentors in that space, and that is just growing quickly. So I think you're going to see just a huge rise in number of people who are building there, which is just jaw dropping. You meet a lot of people who just in the most unlikely of places have created Bitcoin communities or businesses. I met a kid. He was like 19. He had learned how about Bitcoin mining on YouTube, and then he started a company to mine Bitcoin in northern Nigeria, and they're going to do some flared gas mining in southern Nigeria. I think that was really interesting. Apparently, I mean, I think that part of the world vents more gas than like anywhere else in the world or something like that. There's just so much waste. So there's a big opportunity for Bitcoin miners there if they can figure out the security situation. So that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, you saw what Gridless is doing, or at least a lot of people saw this. Eric Hersman, who's a friend of mine, and his team have created a company that comes in and helps reduce the cost of power, or gives power to communities that didn't have it in the first place across East Africa. They're in Kenya, they're in Malawi, they're in a few other countries. They're working on micro hydro, at least for now. So they just go to a place that has a river. They divert the river with a very simple tube. They put a fish guard on it. They run it through a micro hydro, and they pay for it. This is not altruistic. Like, they're going to make money, and then the community is going to have new power, and that power is going to be cheaper and more sovereign than power from elsewhere. It's truly exciting stuff. So that was really interesting to see. I got to meet the team working on basically it's like a protocol to do Bitcoin on what's called USSD, which is like a text message protocol that people use in Africa that don't have data. So a lot of people have a feature phone, but they can't afford internet. So they just use text message to do mobile money or whatever without internet. So I think it's Manchura team.
Machinkura, I think.
Machinkura team, yeah, sorry. The Machinkura team has an app that allows you just to, like, you could have like a candy bar phone or a phone without internet. You just text a number and then it spits back to you some options, and you can like access your bit. Obviously it's custodial, but it's like it's an important way to get people involved. So seeing that start to grow from somebody's basically personal project into what's going to be a company, very interesting. And then I also saw the big announcement that Bernard Para and Jack Mallers had about basically like integrating different fiats together via the Lightning Network, which is I think going to be huge. Basically, I mean, I think it's tricky for an American to like deposit value with someone who uses M-Pesa in Kenya, which is M-Pesa is like the dominant mobile money they use in Kenya. Everybody has an M-Pesa account. So Bernard and his team at BitNob have done the work to do the Bitcoin to fiat off ramp. So you can go Bitcoin to M-Pesa in Kenya. You can go Bitcoin to MTN, which is the mobile money in Ghana. You can go Bitcoin to a Nigerian bank account, any Nigerian bank account. And, you basically, if you have Bitcoin, you can just go through BitNob and it just goes directly into one of these things. And you don't need that much information. So for example, in M-Pesa, you just need a phone number. So this is an open integration because it's on the Lightning Network. So he can team up with any other company. So he started with Strike, meaning, let's say, externally. So now if you're a Strike user in America and you have just like a debit card, you can like more or less instantly within a minute or two deposit funds in somebody's M-Pesa account or a Nigerian bank account or a Ghanaian mobile MTN account with very, very, very low fees and with the real rate of exchange, which is so important. So for example, if you use the traditional financial system to send money from the US to Nigeria, the Nigerian government has a fixed rate of exchange that's official, which is at something like 450 Naira per dollar. Naira is the local currency there. So that's how much you're going to get. You're only going to get 450 Naira per dollar if you use Western Union. But if you go out in the market, on the street, the real rate of exchange is 750 or so. So what that means is the government is just basically stealing, whatever that is, 30, 40% from people as they transact from abroad. So Bitcoin allows you to get the real rate of exchange. So you send a Western Union, not only are you paying whatever fee they have and waiting and opening yourself up to inspection and delays, God knows what else, you're also only getting a percentage of what you're sending. You use Strike to send $100 to a Nigerian bank account through the BitNob integration, which is, by the way, it's like 2 button clicks inside Strike. You're getting it, doing it really quick, and you're getting the full amount, which is really cool. So I think those kind of integrations are going to really be important in the next decade. I think within a few days, Coin Corner out of Great Britain also announced the integration with Bernard's company, BitNob, so that their customers in the British Isles can also send money seamlessly to these African countries. And I think BitNob is going to just add more and more and more kind of like local partners, which is, I mean, the dream is that everybody uses Bitcoin. I mean, I think what I'm sure Frida mentioned to you, which is so interesting about Bitcoin being like a uniting currency for everyone in Africa, is that the continent is super separated. Like there's something like 40 plus fiat currencies, 45 central banks. Like as Frida says, like imagine if the US had a different currency for each state. It would be like really, commerce would just be like really sort of stifled, right? So that's the case in Africa. You have a even bigger place. And it's just very difficult to send money from here to there. And there's different restrictions and everybody's trying to take a cut. And why not just one standard for the whole continent? So that's, I think, like the dream, which is kind of cool. But even now today, we don't have to dream. Like the practical reality is that Bitcoin and the Lightning Network can allow fiat users in different places to just instantly kind of interact with each other. And that was a huge takeaway. I also saw, I just met Bitcoiners from countries that most Americans don't even know exist. It was really, really interesting. I met